Fox News alert: President Trump denying a military jet for House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, who was reportedly set to head out of the country for a meeting with foreign allies. This after Speaker Pelosi called to postpone the State of the Union address. All of this regarding the shutdown. We are working on bringing up a picture for you of a Air Force bus that is idling outside of the Rayburn office building, House office building. It has Capitol Hill police escort that was apparently headed to the airport to leave on this trip, which I can't believe that they were going on a trip in the middle of the shutdown anyway. So the president might have saved them some embarrassment. But now they're also embarrassed because they're probably going to have to get off that bus, and they're not going on their trip, at least not by a military aircraft. Let's bring in Bret Baier, anchor of Special Report. It's good to have you here. A little drama. I knew something was going to happen today. I just had a feeling. Okay, so your thoughts on this. The president didn't respond to Nancy Pelosi at all, not by tweet, not by anything. And then today, just a half hour before this trip, drops this letter to them.
Well, it's quite a move, isn't it? And it is quite a response. It will get a lot of attention. And for those lawmakers sitting on that bus that's idling on Capitol Hill, just a block away from where I'm sitting, they have no clue what is exactly going on. But that plane is not taking off because, you know, while the money has been appropriated for the Defense Department and it could be paid for, obviously, this is the commander-in-chief and the 89th Flight Wing responds to the commander-in-chief. So the military is not flying if the commander-in-chief says, don't go.
Don't go. Let me ask you this. What were the members of Congress thinking going on a CODEL, the congressional delegation trip? That's the code word for it, CODEL. Why were they going to go overseas to Belgium, Egypt? And I understand why you're going to Afghanistan. But in the middle of a shutdown, that seems foolhardy to me.
It does seem like bad timing. You know how these things go, though. They get set up months in advance. They line up all of the dignitaries that they're going to meet with on the ground, and it's just a matter of scheduling. This one happened to be scheduled in the middle of the longest shutdown that probably a lot of people thought would be wrapped up by now. It hasn't been. On the defense of congressional delegations, they do learn a lot from being overseas.
Yes.
And you know all that, and,
yes.
and especially when it comes to Afghanistan, to be able to be have firsthand knowledge from the military people on the ground. But you're right, it doesn't give the right impression during a shutdown.
Especially the Speaker of the House, who she's newly the Speaker. She's in this position of power. She is in the position to negotiate with the president if they're willing to do so. So as we wait to see if we can get this picture up of this bus that's idling out there, we'll have to see if it like skirts away sort of quietly. What else are you hearing about the possibility of any discussion? You know, the president today in his speech at the Defense Department said there are a lot of Democrats who want Nancy Pelosi to allow them to negotiate, but she's in their way. Is that something you're hearing?
Yeah, I have heard that from several people, especially on the Senate side, that there are a number of conversations ongoing. You know, I had the House Majority Leader Steny Hoyer on Special Report last night. He suggested that a compromise is possible. He also, by the way, suggested that walls work in some places on the border. And it does seem like there is a bit of a turning point as far as holding the line on that walls are immoral line.
Take a look at this picture, Bret. We finally have that here. That's the Air Force bus that was ready to go with U.S. Capitol Police escort. Oh, I assume they were probably going out to Joint Base Andrews, I would imagine. And then now I don't even know if they were loaded yet, but they're not going to be getting on that bus, or they're not going to be going on this particular CODEL unless they fly commercial.
Chad Pergram just did a 320, which is kind of our alert system here in D.C., and said that there were lawmakers on that bus, and that he's got sound from Elliot Engel, who was supposed to be on this trip, that we should be able to play here pretty soon. Here's the thing. The Speaker did the original layout of the State of the Union shouldn't go forward because of security. We didn't hear from the President, but now we're hearing from the President, and he's making his feelings clear through this move.
Like, yeah, well, and she does have the right to invite her, but she didn't really disinvite. It was one of those things where I really think it would be better, Mr. President, if you were to change the date. Now, she's not saying there would not be a State of the Union at all. She's saying let's reschedule it for a date after we get the government workers back to work. We're also finding out from John Roberts at the White House that the trip was a DOD, Department of Defense trip, not a State Department trip. Just another little nugget there to add to this. Your thoughts, Bret, then about any pressure that the White House or the Democrats or Republicans on Capitol Hill are feeling about workers who are really starting to feel the pinch. We've heard reports about food banks being set up for FBI employees and Coast Guard employees. We know that there are a number of Americans who live paycheck to paycheck, and this is really starting to bite.
It is. You know, there's a restaurant right down the street from us, Charlie Palmer's. A lot of us go for lunch sometimes, and they're offering furloughed federal employees free chicken sandwiches. Other businesses around D.C. are doing the same. And you are seeing some of that. And I do think there will be a moment here, a fulcrum point, where somebody has to get to the table. There has to be some negotiation back and forth, and that's what I tried to press Majority Leader Hoyer about last night. He suggested that it was coming, but so far we haven't seen it, and I think you're going to see this pressure. The next pay period is Tuesday at midnight, and so they're hoping to get something through before then.
And it's interesting to point on that Nancy Pelosi and the rest of this CODEL would not have been in the country when this next pay period is missed, if they were going to go on this trip that the president has now canceled just a half hour before they were supposed to leave. We appreciate you jumping into the seat there, Bret Baier. Thank you, and we'll check in with you later. And also, of course, we will watch Special Report.